Mark Zuckerberg is a spineless CEO. We've kind of known this all along, but his recent actions really confirm this. Now, I'm making this video because this channel's whole purpose is to bring intelligent investing into the mainstream. And one of the most important things in intelligent investing is evaluating a company's CEO. It doesn't matter if it's in a public company or a private company or a startup. Evaluating for a good CEO is super important in intelligent investing because they set the direction of the business, and they're also responsible for building the brand, which really at the end of the day is trust with customers. And Zuck has repeatedly failed at this, and I don't think that this will bode well for Meta over the long term. Here's why I believe Zuck is frankly a moralist, spineless, mendacious CEO. But first, a quick disclosure. I have held Meta shares in the past. I was in and out of the stock from 2012 to about 2021. I currently don't hold any shares. And as you'll see, this video is actually not political, although it does revolve around a lot of political things. This video is about Mark constantly changing his policies without any seeming foundation or moral principle. Okay, to kick off my argument, we have to start at the most recent news coming out of the company. Just last week, Meta released a statement and a video of Mark, and in both the statement and the video, they reference Mark's 2019 Georgetown speech. Well, it's funny that they chose that speech because here's a clip from it.
Banning political ads favors incumbents and whoever the media chooses to cover.
Okay, but then not even a year later, they literally banned political ads. And that's the first thing that I think makes him a bad CEO. He's constantly going back and forth between what he believes. Now, with the new administration coming in, he's all on board the free expression train. And it feels entirely disingenuous. It feels like he's saying, I'm sorry, I want to be on the winning side, more than, hey, this is actually what I believe in. And his corporate actions also confirm that. Meta announced that longtime Trump ally and head of UFC Dana White will be joining Meta's board of directors. Zuck's also been making repeated visits to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. Now, there's nothing wrong with trying to meet an incoming president. Their success is our success. But he also banned Trump back in 2021, which seems odd to be now currying favor. But there's literally no one else to blame at Meta, other than Zuck, for Meta's actions. And I'll prove why using governance documents in a moment. But that leads me right into my second point. If Zuck would have just said, yep, I'm learning, I made a mistake, this is what I believe now, I'd understand it. But he doesn't take responsibility for the decisions that his company, which he has total control over, made. Zuck claims that he censored free expression because of the incumbent administration. Here he is on a recent appearance on Joe Rogan, where bro totally dressed like an undercover cop.
Inarguably true. Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that that talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration. I think it was, I wasn't involved in those conversations directly, but
you weren't involved in those conversations. What could be more important to that, especially if you're so dedicated to free expression as you claim? And because this is a flank video, let's get back into the business analysis side of it. Zuck has literal, complete, and absolute control over Meta. And that's because the company is a dual shareholder class company. That means that they have Class A stock and they have Class B stock. If we go into the annual report, we can see that under Note 13, it covers stockholder equity and says that you have Class A common stock and Class B common stock. And Class B is actually significantly cheaper at that many cents per share. Weirdly small number. But the shareholder of a Class A common stock is entitled to 1 vote, whereas the shareholder of a Class B stock is entitled to 10 votes. And Meta even has to call it out as a risk factor. They say the dual class structure of our common stock has the effect of concentrating voting control with our CEO and certain other holders, bullshit no it doesn't, of our Class B common stock. This will limit or preclude your ability to influence corporate matters. I said bullshit about the Class B ones because if you go to their proxy statement, Mark Zuckerberg has literally 99.7% of all Class B stock, which represents 61% of the total voting power, which means that his entire board of directors only has 0.1 control of all voting power. So that's what I mean. He has full control over this company. There's no question about it, which is what's really frustrating when he starts to say, oh, I wasn't involved in that conversation. I wasn't aware of that. Bullshit. You know exactly what's happening at that company. Now, the third reason why I think that Mark is a spineless CEO, and this one's a little bit of a reach, but it's because he has a total disregard for the Commonwealth. Internal documents revealed that the company knew that they were pushing dangerous content to depressed teenage girls. Or even going further back, they leaked personal data without having informed consent. And all the other scandals that have riddled Meta over the years, including raising the temperature of the nation. But when you start to understand the business model, it makes sense exactly why Meta's doing it. And that's because you are the product of Meta. One of the most important books I've read in my entire life was Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday. The punchline of the book is that free content is basically the original sin of the internet. And that's because if you're not paying for something, then they're probably relying on advertisers. And if the business relies on advertisers, then it's the platform's job to try to get you engaged as much as possible so they can keep serving you Nissan ads. And we all know from being on the internet that if it enrages, it engages. So that makes sense what Facebook's trying to do. They want to piss you off or scare the crap out of you, because then you'll keep scrolling, you'll doom scroll. And then the more time you spend on the platform, the more advertisements they can serve you. It really is a nasty loop when you stop and think about it, which is why I believe that social media companies are the new tobacco companies. Anyway, I'm going a little bit off track. So we talked about the 3 things that I think makes Zuck a spineless CEO. But let's finish the video off on a good note. What should we look for in our CEOs as investors? Because remember, that's the lens we're taking this video through. I'm slamming Zuck pretty hard here, but I don't know the guy personally. I don't like his business model or his business antics. But on a personal level, I don't know him. I like jiu-jitsu, he likes jiu-jitsu. I don't know, we'd probably get along. But should I trust him with my hard-earned capital? And to answer that, I'd like to look at what Buffett thinks on how to evaluate management. Now, to answer that fully, it would take a long time, which we can't do at the end of this video. But if you are curious on exactly how Buffett evaluates management, we have a course on flankinvesting.com that is included in your subscription that will walk you through exactly how to pick a stock like Warren Buffett. And in that course, we have a whole module on how Buffett analyzes management for his businesses, what he looks for in a CEO. You can check it out in the link below. But I do want to leave you with something. So here's Buffett back in 2003 at his shareholder meeting, where he talks about, is it more important to be passionate about your business, or is it more important to like the business outcomes, the money? Here's what he said.
Well, we love managers that have a passion for their business. And when we're buying a business, we have to ask ourselves, do they love the money or do they love the business? If they love the money, there's nothing wrong with that. But they probably wouldn't be running the business for us a year or 2 down the road.
It's apparent, given Mark's actions, that he is not in love with his business, whose mission statement is to build the future of human connection and the technology that makes it possible. That mission statement is total bullshit. They're not interested in human connection. They're interested in human engagement, because that's what they need. They need eyeballs looking at the advertisements that are on the platform in order to drive revenue. And that is what they will continue to optimize for. How can they get as many eyes on their platform as possible while avoiding any type of regulation, which is exactly why he's pandering to the incoming administration so hard. If Meta is indeed trying to build the future of human connection, then we are all in a lot of trouble, because by Meta's very business model, we, the humans, are the product. And why would you want your products connected? You'd want them isolated, enraged, and glued to their devices. That's all for this one. Speaking of companies who turn their users into products, we made a video on Robinhood and all the problems with their business model. Remember, if you don't know how you're paying for a product, then you are the product. Protect yourselves out there, be well, and we'll see you in the next one.